It's 5:30. It's our ordinary council meeting of Narromine Shire Council for April 2026. Just a couple of announcements again. Phones off or on silent, please. This meeting is being live streamed via council's website, and a person's image and/or voice may be broadcast. Attendance at the meeting is taken as consent by a person to their image and/or voice being live streamed. If any person attending the meeting does not agree to be live streamed, they can choose to leave the meeting. All speakers should refrain from making defamatory comments or releasing any personal information about other individuals without their consent. Council accepts no liability for damages that may result from defamatory comments made by persons attending meetings. All liabilities rest with the individual who made the comments. The recording must be published on council's website for the balance of the council's term for 12 months, whichever is the longer period, and retained as a council record. Individuals acting in disorderly manner can be asked by the chairperson to leave the meeting under council's code of meeting practice. Meeting must not be recorded by others without the prior consent of council in accordance with council's code of meeting practice. Members of the public attending the meeting must remain silent during the meeting and not disturb the meeting. Thank you. So welcome along. Welcome to fellow council staff and people in the gallery. We'll stand now for the prayer. We don't have a minister this meeting, so get Les to lead us on. Next best thing. Thank you, Les.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you. I'd now like to read out an acknowledgement of country. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and pay respect to elders, past, present and future, for they hold the memories, traditions and culture of the land where we meet today, and extend that respect to the Aboriginal community and all Aboriginal people present. Thank you. But you can sit down, I'll just stand up for a minute and read the next part out. So, statement of ethical obligations. The Mayor and councillors are reminded that they remain bound by the oath of affirmation of office made at the beginning of the council term to undertake their civic duties in the best interests of the people of the Narromine Shire community and to faithfully and impartially carry out functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in them under the Local Government Act or any other act to the best of their ability and judgment. Council officials are also reminded of the requirement to declare, appropriately manage any conflicts of interest that they may have in relation to matters considered at the meeting in accordance with the Code of Conduct and Code of Meeting Practice. Thank you. So item 5, apologies. We do have an apology from Councillor Howe.
Mr. Mayor.
A second.
Yep.
Thank
Leave
you.
of absence be granted.
Sorry?
And that leave of absence be granted.
And the leave, yes, and the leave of absence be granted.
Yep.
Okay. All those in favour? Yes, carried unanimously. Thank you. Confirmation of minutes. So you all had a chance to read the ordinary council meeting minutes dated 11th of March 2026.
I'll move the recommendation to a motion that the information be noted.
Do you have a seconder? Yep. Any discussion on those minutes? Okay. Any matters arising from the minutes? Everybody happy with the minutes? We'll therefore move that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Disclosures of interest. I have 2 here from Councillor Smith. One, it's non-pecuniary, non-certificate. It's an agenda item being one of the development approvals. I own a house in Commodore Crescent. Narromine neighbour has a DA in for a shed. So we've written down the only being noted at the meeting. Thank you, Councillor Smith. And the other one is from Councillor Smith as well. Confidential matters, item number 2, Craigie Lee Lane, non-pecuniary, non-significant. I'm on a farm approximately 12 kilometres from this site. This is a greater distance than Narromine to Craigie Lee Lane. G. Job is my share farmer and lives on the Tomingley Road. No interest in Tomingley Road enterprise? Yeah, thank you. Somebody would like to move to accept those two?
Seconded, Mr Mayor.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Yeah. All right, we move on to item 8, which is the mayoral diary.
I'll move. This is why we don't sit together. I'll move the recommendation to a motion that the information be noted.
Thank you. A seconder for that. A seconder, sorry. Let's too busy crying.
Yeah.
Laughing. Councillor Lambert. Crying. Any questions of the mayoral minute?
Just a question, Mr Mayor, about the 31st of March. How did we go with them talking to the newspaper and the Minister for Roads re taxis and stuff?
How did I get to speak about to them?
Mm.
They just rang out of the blue.
They rang out of the blue.
Yep.
Okay.
This bloke's based in Forbes, and it's not actually the printed version of the Telegraph. It's an online thing, so you got to pay.
Oh, okay, righto.
Yeah, so you just people must watch what we're doing, I guess, Big Brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just reiterated what I've been saying all along about the excessive costs of operating a taxi in regional Western New South Wales. Is what.
Totally agree.
Any other questions?
Yep, I've got one, Mr Mayor.
Yep.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. On the 6th of March, you had a meeting with the General Manager and the Director of Community and Economic Development.
Yep.
Have you got anything of note to report back to Council from that meeting?
No, Councillor Smith. It's just a catch up we have pretty much every week, just so that I'm aware of what's going on in the background or whatever, but nothing of significance, no.
Okay, thank you.
And the only other comment I've got, Mr Mayor, is from the 13th of March, is the Senior Citizens morning tea was terrific.
It was fantastic.
Absolutely.
Well done to the staff. Pass that on, please.
And the high school kids were great as well as the caterers.
Even with power difficulties and everything, they did a
exactly.
great
They
job.
were fabulous.
Up dancing
Great job.
Out dancing with the elderly ladies. It was really, really
Was
good to
still
see that
very
we've got some nice, decent young people in our town still. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was very good.
Any other questions? And of course, the teachers are doing a good job. I wouldn't be such good kids. Any other questions? I'll put that as a motion. And all those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried unanimously. Thank you. Move on to Deputy Mayor's diary.
I'll move that the recommendation that the information be noted.
Thank you. Second, Councillor
I'll
Mark.
second it.
Councillor Smith. Any questions of Deputy Mayor? No, very good. Thank you. I'll put that as a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried unanimously. Yeah. I've got my representative report there from the Country Mayors Association.
I'll move the recommendation to a motion that the information be noted.
You can have a seconder. Councillor Roberts. Any questions of my report?
I've got one. On page 3, your third dot point states councils are encouraged to continue submitting requests for changes to the ownership and classification of highways, including proposals to transfer assets from local government to state responsibility. I'm just wondering, does Narromine Council have any plans to avail themselves of this opportunity to get some help with our roads?
I'll pass it over to staff.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer. So absolutely. So this road reclassification review, it's called, has been going on for a number of years, and we've had a number of applications through that process. It stalled a few years back, and Tomingley Chimundra obviously is the main one that we're trying to hand back to the state. So they've now asked for those applications to be freshly lodged, which we have done.
Fantastic. Thank you.
The impression I got, Councillor Smith, was that they've dropped the ball a bit and they've said, oh, just keep reminding us, basically. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And just question, Mel, is that a big process for you guys to have to do that, or?
Well, as Jane said, a lot of the work has already been done, so it's just like
Yes.
pay
Yeah, so through me, a lot of work went into that in the previous council. There were a number of sort of category 1 roads that we wanted to transfer, and then we also had a number of other, like Trangie Colli from memory was one, Trangie Dangaloo. So there are other roads that, you know, if we can get these main ones through, we'd also like to apply
But
to get
that's
those ones reclassified. So the work was done a few years back, and it's just a matter of resubmitting.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Regurgitating it.
Through you, Mr Mayor, with that $183 million allocated towards upgrade of the roads,
Yep.
I know we're on the edge of the Verona Res. Does the Narromine Council have communications putting forward advocating for some of our roads, like Tantitha and the other ones around? Doesn't work that way?
No, so through you, Mayor, that funding is principally for the Golden Highway
Yeah, mainly the Golden Highway.
and to get from the port to Res, basically.
Okay, I think so.
Hopefully get some down the track. Yeah. Any other questions on the report there? Okay, we'll put it as a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried unanimously. Thank you. Move on to reports of committees. First one being the report of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee.
I'll do that one. Recommendation, move to a motion. The recommendation for the minutes of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee meeting held on the 17th of March 2026 be adopted.
Second for that one.
I'll second that.
Councillor Hoey. Any questions of that report at all?
Very thorough.
No problem. Okay, we'll put that as a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried unanimously. Second report is of the Narromine Aerodrome Committee.
I'll move that one, that the report of the Narromine Aerodrome Committee and the recommendations from the minutes of the meeting held on the 3rd of March 2026 be adopted.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Howe. Any questions of the Aerodrome Committee?
Good to see them working together.
Okay, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried unanimously. Third one is a report of the Trangie Showground and Race Course Advisory Committee.
I'll move that recommendation that the report of the Trangie Showground and Racecourse Advisory Committee and the recommendations from the minutes of the meeting held on March 26 be adopted.
Thank you. Second for that.
Second that.
So Davies, any questions on those, that report? We'll put that as a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against, nobody, just nobody against, carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, so reports to council. First one from the General Manager.
I'll move the recommendation to a motion that the information be noted.
I'll second that.
Disclosures of pecuniary interest and other matters returned.
Okay, that is only seconded, Councillor Hoey. Any discussion or questions to GM about that one? Done well. Okay, all those in favour?
Just a question you. Through you to the GM, how long do are they only a 12-month keep and then you've got to update them each time?
Through you, Mayor, so it's the same as what we do. And obviously, if you become aware of an interest, you have 3 months to lodge a new return.
So if I buy another house, I've got to come in and change that.
You've got 3 months to, it's correct.
Okay, any other questions? We'll put that as a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
You're right, Jude. Sorry, Councillor Smith.
Yeah.
Sorry. Carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, next report to councillors from Director of Finance and Corporate Strategy.
I'll move the first recommendation, Mr Mayor, that 1, that the report regarding council's investment portfolio be received and noted, and 2, that the certification of the responsible accounting officer be noted and the report adopted.
Got a seconder for that motion? Councillor Bowen. Any questions of our
Just a
Director?
comment, Mr Mayor, another very thorough report for us to look through.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions of our Director on this one? No, silence is golden. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. And further on to Director's report. There's another
I'll
recommendation.
recommend the second one, Mr Mayor, that the financial report as of the 31st of March 2026 be received and noted.
Think you have a seconder for that one? Councillor Davies. Any discussion or questions to our director on that one?
Yep, I have three, Mr Mayor, to Barry. With the current fuel crisis, what's that mean for our continuing budget to the end of the financial year?
For you, Mr. Mayor, yes. Well, the cost of a fuel to council has increased significantly. Price per fuel went up before the war started. Basically, it was about $1.80 per kiloliter. The diesel went up to about $3.30 per kiloliter. The last invoice we paid was a bit
Per litre?
a liter, yeah, diesel, yes. So it came down a bit to $3.18, $3.20. So in the budget, we have fuel expenses for $503,000. We spent about 75% of that, but of course are going to come through now. So if the price settles around about $3.50, I think we will need additional $120,000 to $150,000 to cover
So
the fuel expenses.
Specifically for our roads, what does that mean, given that road crews fuel in and out, everything input is going to increase? What's our contingency plan and where are we going to find those funds?
We are reviewing and monitoring the budget as we have to do. So in next month, we will have a report for council to make amendments to the budget and identify savings to cover those costs where we can.
And are we minimising staff travel? Like, I know councillor travel should be limited where possible to try and maintain that. Is there any procedures in place for that?
So through Mayor, certainly we have, I guess I've been very clear that if there's an opportunity to attend meetings via remotely, then we should be doing that. And yes, we are very much conscious of not just travelling or driving for the sake of it. So we've certainly issued some directives to staff as well. Yeah.
Through the GM to Mel, to the Director of Engineering, is that going to interfere with some of the works that we've been doing as well, or need to do?
Potentially, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Crystal ball.
Yeah.
Any
So,
other questions?
so have we pumped our tyres up and taken our roof racks off?
Get staff to lose weight.
Sorry.
Any other questions of our Director Barry?
Well,
We'll put that as a motion. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, we move on to community and economic development. Thank you, Director Bill. Development applications being the first.
I think it's great.
I'll move the recommendation to a motion that the information be noted.
I'll second that.
Certainly, any questions of the DAs we've got there?
Looks great again.
Just one observation here. If you look at the number of DAs that have been approved in financial year to date, the total value, and compare that with last year at the same time, this year we've got an average valuation of about 750,000. Now I know that's blown out by some major projects, but it's just an interesting statistic because last year we were way down on all of that.
That's right. Confidence is improving in our council areas.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
To Phil. 2026-11, there's a farm shed, $190,000. Is that just a normal farm shed or is there actually a business involved with that?
Through the GM and the Mayor, I don't know the specific details. I don't know the details.
Probably got a man cave in it.
Which number was that one, Councillor?
Fourth one down.
2611.
11, sorry. Another one. Yeah.
I'm happy to take it on notice to the extent that I can share the information.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions to our Director? We'll put the recommendation as a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you. Okay, we move on to our infrastructure and engineering services report. Thank you, Director Mill. Works report being the first one.
I'll recommend that the information be noted about the works reports, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, do you have a seconder for that one? Councillor Davies. Any questions of Director Mel?
Work being done again.
Yeah, beautiful.
You go first.
Councillor Bone, you have one?
Great report, Mel, and especially the fencing. The fencing looks really good and it's definitely much sturdier, which is great. With the toilets, and you can see there, was the lock damage? Is that how they got into the supply closet? Or,
These are the ones on.
oh, sorry, so yeah, the
Full
one.
toilets, yeah.
Sorry, just repeat the question for me.
Was the lock damaged? Is that how they got in, or it wasn't
Yeah,
locked?
I'm not fully, no, I think it was just, I believe it was damaged. Yes, I believe it was damaged and they kicked it.
Is there a better way of having that secured?
So without preempting, we opened, I suppose just for everyone's benefit, we opened those toilets sort of on a temporary basis.
Yep.
So we haven't spent a lot of money on those toilets thinking it was temporary.
Yep.
Probably depending on what the outcome of tonight is, will depend what we do.
Yeah,
there.
so it can just be
So,
more
yes.
secure if
Yeah.
need be. And amazing, I actually seen the training toilets, they look great. It would have been really cool if some of the councillors could have gone and had it if we knew about it. That
Yeah.
would have been nice, especially I know the training councillors probably would.
Oh, I knew about it whilst it was happening.
Yeah,
That looks fantastic.
because yeah, it does really look great. Would have been able to.
And you'd like the life for it.
Yeah.
And return and earn. Yep, amazing. They've seen the news down there. They look great.
Thanks.
Through you, Mr. Mel, the Grain Way, you do a fantastic job out there. I did hear you running out of water, like to source water to finish that project. Did you purchase water from somewhere and you're going to cart it off a local farmer? Is that adding a lot to that expense, or are you still going ahead?
To my knowledge, currently we are grabbing water from town. I'm not aware, I could be wrong, I'm not aware that we're taking water from a farmer, but no, it's not a huge expense and it's sort of built into the project cost, which is fully grant funded. So I'm not, the water, honestly, at the moment with all the price increases, what is the least of my worries?
Yeah, to control that price.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, look, with it drying up, we do typically take out of farmers' dams and that sort of thing, and even just water on the side of the road. But obviously at the moment with it drying up, yeah, we do have to search a bit harder to get access.
It is a great job you're doing out there. So it's still not scheduled to be finished because
It's on schedule, but we have nearly finished for this financial year. So the works will sort of be tidied up, and then there'll be a bit more work happening next financial year.
Mel, is it worth broaching, just on the subject of water for roads, is it worth broaching the EPA when they're out here for this PFAS testing and ask them if there's any further consideration being given to using brown water on roads?
Groundwater as in from the sewer plant?
As from the sewage, treated water.
We don't actually have enough water to do that. So I probably, it's not a stupid idea, but I wouldn't recommend it for here. We just don't have enough. And because of where it is on the Mitchell Highway, it's not that easy to get to for the majority of our jobs either. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor
Bell again. Page 11, it's got all properties within the area below are eligible for free PFAS sampling on their bore water. Aquifers are aquifers, and we don't know where the water comes in. Who actually marked that line? Who actually decided that was it?
Yeah, I did, through the help of our groundwater modeller. Yeah, so we've done, as you would have been aware from all of the IWCM stuff, there has been extensive groundwater modelling done on our aquifers. And so when the EPA said that they could do this this PFAS sampling, we were like, where are we going to look at? And so I actually spoke to our groundwater modeller, and he produced plumage maps of where he thought, based on the groundwater movements, that the PFAS would likely be in. And then that's sort of how we came up with that.
It's really cool.
Area.
So if someone's just out of that line, I'm not quite sure what the sampling is costing the council.
Nothing, it's free.
It's free.
It's provided by the EPA.
If there's someone just out and got concerns about their bore water, can they actually bring that sample to the
I would encourage them to reach out to council. I can't promise anything, but yeah, look, we're happy to work with people.
And through you, Mayor, that's been very clear in the media that this is the area that we're focusing on. But if you're outside that area and you want to get your water tested, then you just need to contact council. No guarantees, depending on how many people take up the option. Obviously, the EPA aren't going to do thousands of sampling, but if the uptake's not that great within that area and there's people outside that area that want to do it, then absolutely.
So I've had,
So,
are you good?
I'm good.
So I had a question from a community member. If PFAS is found through in their bore that's for stock and domestic, does the EPA have the right to close that down?
The information we have received from the EPA is that they are purely doing it for investigative purposes.
Because I think that's what's stopping a lot of people going, well, hold on a
Yeah.
second, if it's my only water source to feed my stock and we find that, so it's like, do you educate them about that so that they know, or?
So the data, once it becomes available to the EPA, will be available to the EPA
Okay, yeah.
forever.
I mean, I guess we can't control what the EPA do or don't do with those samples.
I just think that's what's
Absolutely.
holding a lot of people from actually
Yeah,
doing
for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't want to know about it sometimes.
Better the devil you know.
Well, this is for the people who do want to know.
Any other questions? Sorry,
No, you go.
you go first. Ladies first.
Thank you.
Yes.
Through you, Mr Mayor, to the Director of Engineering and Infrastructure, reiterating for a start what the others have already said, another very detailed report. Thank you very much. And the photos are always extremely helpful. Just following on from Councillor Leak for my first question regarding the map that went out with the media release, just wondering whether it would be much more prudent if we had a larger sample area so that we can really get a grip on exactly where the PFOS and the PFAS is.
So there's probably two things that are constraining the area. One is the plumage map that our groundwater sampler suggested. So obviously it probably looks this way because it's the township, but I didn't just pluck an area out of thin air. We worked with the modeller to really determine that area. So within that area, it should definitely tell us where the main sources are likely to be within the township as well. So it is that is the best area. The other thing is the EPA are limited on how many tests they can do. So we didn't want to open it up too wide and potentially have lots of people coming to us and saying that they wanted to get samples done and then we couldn't do it for everyone. If the sampling, look, it's a bit of a process and it's not definitely going to be conclusive. If we need to widen the net to understand further, we can work with the EPA on doing that. But I'm cautiously hopeful that the area provided will give us a good understanding of the potential sources and the movement of the PFAS.
No, it's a shame it doesn't include all of Narromine and perhaps a margin of 2 to 5 kilometres outside. I think that would do a lot to instill a bit more community confidence, because I've one, and I assume other councillors as well, have had people asking and quite concerned about the PFOS and the PFAS.
So I guess it would be an opportune time for me to just remind everyone that all of our PFAS and PFOS sampling is available publicly on the internet. I've seen a few things that say that it's not. All of that sampling is publicly available. There's been low detections within our groundwater. So I'd just remind people of that. And I'd also say, I think I've said this before, but it's not council's responsibility to test private bores. This is a great opportunity for people who are potentially closer to council's bores to get free sampling, but anyone can go and take a sample and send it off for testing if they're worried about it. And again, was asked previously, if they want to be included, reach out. I can't promise anything, but we can always look to see if we can support people with this free sampling program if there are slots available.
Now, I'll just clarify my comment with the people that have spoken to me have all been Narromine Township residents. So they're concerned about the water that's around them as well as what's actually being directly pumped at the moment, because we don't know exactly what's under the ground and what aquifers are linked, etc. So that's where that comment came from. My next question relates to the bottom of page 10, or page 1 of the works report. Which talks about the new water treatment plant, and the draft concept design has been submitted. So that's great news. Just following on from my question on PFOS and PFAS, I'm just wondering what strategies council's going to incorporate to combat the PFOS and PFAS, such as filters within the new water treatment plant.
Yeah, so last week, water manager and I had a very thorough risk assessment session focused solely on PFAS with the Department of Health and also with our designers for the plant. We're hoping to get the feedback from Health, if not this week, next week. And then we need to understand basically if the risk that we currently have, which I stress is quite low, is actually enough to put us into needing treatment from the water treatment plant. What we currently have is there's a treatment plant design and there is an option for a future installation of PFAS treatment. And so where we're going through at the moment is to understand whether the risk, not just Narromine Shire, but from New South Wales Health and also the water regulator, deems that the risk is high enough that we do go for treatment in the initial build and not later.
Wouldn't it be prudent when we know we've got an issue to put it in to start with rather than ad hoc
To
tacking on?
clarify, we don't have an issue. At the moment, we don't need to treat the water. The new treatment plant will give us some additional barriers to enable us to manage PFAS better, and it will be an additional cost to put it on. When you look at it, depends. Like that's why we need to go through the risk assessment process to determine if it is actually prudent in terms of financial and the actual risk to go ahead.
So through you, Mayor, just to be clear, I suppose if they deem the risk very low, they will not fund that portion, that additional component of the treatment plant. So
this,
that's
to the layperson who knows nothing about water, it's just adding another filter later down the track. Obviously more complex than that.
It's a bolt-on additional treatment process, and that we are designing at the moment. The design process has physical space and physical connections to allow for that.
Yeah. But I guess through me, I just want to reiterate to the community, we don't have an issue. Okay, we very low detection. So it's important to have that message out in the community as well.
Yeah.
And monthly testing. So, that's available publicly on the website for anybody to have a look at.
Okay, well, that pretty much answers my next question, because my next question was, we've had contradictory statements being made over the last couple of weeks about the frequency of water testing, including it being tested weekly in a media interview. I'm just wondering, can we clarify exactly how often the water is being tested and how long it takes for us to get those results back and out?
So let me go. So through you, Mayor, just to be clear, yes, I've also been advised that was said in the media. It's inaccurate.
Thank you.
Okay, and I've spoken to the media talker. It was an inaccurate statement, so it's best to leave the technical aspects of this stuff to the technicians, like Bill. So absolutely, it's monthly testing. It takes about 2 weeks for those results. There's a bit of a lag, so that as soon as they're available, they're up on the website.
And they're tested in Sydney, are they?
Yes.
They are sent to Sydney, correct? Absolutely.
I'll just make a comment because I think it gets confused. We test our water multiple times a week for different parameters. We do send weekly sampling for things like E. coli to test that the water is okay. So I think this is where it gets confusing. So we do have multiple tests, heaps of different stuff, PFAS, like Jane said.
And we've done that for years, 40 years, I don't know, 50 years perhaps.
Yep. And one final question. Testing in recent months has shown the presence of PFAS, PFOS and PFAS, as we've discussed. What percentage increase of the PFOS and PFAS has been detected over the last 6 months in percentage form?
Actually, the levels really haven't shown. So our first sample was in August, slightly elevated. We had a couple of increased levels just prior to Christmas, but since Christmas, the last 3 months of testing have been very similar to what they were in August. So I would suggest that shows quite stable.
So less than 5%, do you think?
Basically, no increase since we had the first sample in August.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but again, all of that is publicly available on the website. So if you wanted to run your own calculations, you'd be welcome to.
I thought you might have had
When you're doing 0.0002 over 0.0001, you need a special calculator.
Any other questions to
Yes, Mayor.
Councillor?
Just, do we know how many bores there are in that area?
Public.
Yeah.
Yes, I can't tell you the exact number. Obviously, I don't know unregistered bores. Water New South Wales has a map of them. I believe when the media asked me the other day, I said it's over 100.
So, and just to be clear, that's
Not our domain.
not our data.
No.
Water New South Wales data,
Okay.
publicly available on their website and is for known bores. We have no idea of the unknown unregistered bores. So that's why we can't really give you a number.
Why I asked the question, Jam, and to Mel, is that there are quite a few tapped bores in town that haven't been used for 30 or 40 years.
They should have gone through a decommissioning process with Water New South Wales. That's not our domain. Yeah.
Okay. Just a thought. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions of Director Mel?
Thanks, Mel.
So we'll put that recommendation as a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thanking you. So the next item is reallocation of capital funding or gravel resheeting.
I'll move the recommendation that council approves the reallocation of 80,000 from the gravel road resheeting capital budget to the rural road resale program.
Do you have a seconder for that motion?
I'll second that.
You, councillor Hoey. Any questions to our director on this one?
Just one comment. Well done. It's a great idea.
Thank you, councillor Smith. Okay, we'll put that as a motion, please. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thanking you. Next item is dedication of land portion lot 70 DP 125186.
I'll move that one, Mr Mayor. The council accepts the dedication of the portion of lot 70, DP 1251856, identified as road widening dedication plan as public road adjoining Mungery Road, and 1, classifies the dedicated land as public road under the Roads Act 1993, and 2, authorises the GM to execute all necessary documents to complete the dedication.
A seconder for that motion. Councillor Davies. Any questions on this one to Director? Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Through you to the Director of Engineering and Infrastructure. Just looking at the diagram on page 16, and I note in the bottom left-hand corner of the diagram, there is a little circle with a cross in it, which signifies an easement for transmission lines. Just wondering, is this a new line and where's it going from and to?
Yeah. So that's not a new thing. That's an existing. So through you, Mayor, our understanding is that's just an existing transmission line. I mean, I guess that's not the topic of this report.
No, just curious.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions on Director Mel on this matter? Okay, we'll put that recommendation as a motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, item number 4, 4, the amended public amenities in Narromine community consultation update.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to move a motion in relation to this item, if I could, please. Given where we are, given the public concern with this project, I would like to move that the council undertake discussions with the centre owner regarding the potential to lease the centre toilets for a trial period to enable public access. That council will, 1, organise the cleaning and maintenance in an appropriate manner, and 2, investigate ways to minimise any graffiti, damage or illegal behaviour, such as through the use of Indigenous art.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that?
I'll second that.
Councillor Smith, I sat in the motel room in Condé last night thinking about this matter as well, and could I add a couple of other things to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's see.
Okay. Okay. So you've got 2 items there, haven't you? 1 and 2.
Yes.
Anyways, that Narromine Council does not proceed with the construction of the public toilets in Nimijie Street at this time. And my other point is that the public toilets at the Narromine Aquatic Centre remain open until the entire structure, that includes the pool, patrons' toilets, change room and kiosk building as a whole is deemed unsafe.
I'm happy with that. Yeah.
Happy with that? You happy with that, seconder?
Through you, Mayor, I guess my concern, I think I'd probably just leave out until they're deemed unsafe. I'm not sure we need.
Yeah, I would-
End of their
Leave 'em
life. Yeah.
open.
And
End of
just
their
leave them open. I
Yeah,
mean,
just leave them open. Yeah.
End of their life. Okay. You got all that,
Before you add one
Sally?
question, haven't we've done this before and you said that they will not entertain it? The
so I guess through you, Mayor, we have spoken, yes, staff have spoken to the agent who, I guess this is a formal approach. That's I guess that's where we see the difference is, but spoken to the agent previously, whoever said no. But that's through a conversation.
Yeah.
I guess this is a formal approach.
as long as it's not
Yep.
doing the same thing, that's fine.
Yep.
and we'll just wait for Sal to type all that up, if that's okay. Do you want to go in discussions while we're waiting, or would you rather wait to then back in black and white?
think we know what it's.
I agree.
Yeah. I think as long as the staff think it's doable, it's a quick, easy fix that doesn't spend a lot of money, that we've got to try before we spend $250,000.
And that might be the extra budget money that we can use for our roads.
Yeah.
And fuel.
And fuel.
That's right.
Yeah, true.
that we
That'd be
may need.
win-win.
I'll just take this up to
Chats.
Yeah. I think through you, Mayor, I just asked for a comment from the director regarding the opening hours of the aquatic centre
So,
toilets.
my recommendation for the opening hour of the aquatic centre is to limit them, just because of the significant vandalism that we have seen. The reason that they're 7 till 4 at the moment is because staff members are locking them at 4 p.m. when they finish and then reopening them at 7 a.m. I think if we were to keep them open permanently, we'd just look at spending a bit of money in the next financial year to install automatic locking, like the rest of all our toilets do. And then some of that other stuff, like the heavier duty, I suppose, a bit more vandalism.
Like, for instance, at the moment, just let's keep that because that's what's happening, right? Can you bring a report back saying what it's going to cost to make them user friendly for a long?
So I guess through you, Mayor, I guess the whole, I would suggest that everything would come back. So obviously the discussions that I had with the owners of the shopping centre, because that may well change what we're talking about potentially. So I think a report that brings all of those matters.
I think that will
Forward.
that help you solve that?
I suppose the other thing, Councillor Bowen, too, is the fact that we're going to do this. We may need to look at some sort of security, cameras or whatever, you know.
But leave it up to the director.
That's part of the
to-
motion, Elise.
Yeah,
That is part of the motion
Okay, right. Yeah,
leave
to
it up
to investigate ways and means of minimising.
Yeah, yeah.
that's fine.
I think that's a great motion.
So to confirm, moving forward, at least for the interim, we'd leave the toilet 7 till 4.
Right. Well, that's what we're voting on, but
Well, I mean,
I
with
think
present
while
hours at the moment, it start at nearly 4 o'clock anyway.
it's not worth having to pay somebody to stay back late to be able to lock and keep it safe at this stage. We're not saying that it's not going to in the future. Like if we get automatic locking, we can do 7 till 7.
Yeah.
7 till 9, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I think at the meantime, we know that it's an area that keeps getting vandalised. We're trying to limit the exposure to that. Especially with that room that they've obviously got into, etc. Whatever we can do to, but if you could bring a report back, that would be amazing.
Toilets, buildings. All right, sorry about that, everyone.
Councillor Davies, you're happy to keep that for the interim period prior to opening, or let's just say interim period, take out prior to opening because we're not doing that yet. You're happy to keep it open 7 till 4?
Well, it's either 7 till 4 or open
Or,
24/7.
that's what I mean.
This is the
The,
old.
the only condition I would attach to that possibly is to look at the bus timetables.
Yeah, but I suppose the problem with that is that we're gonna have to pay staff.
Yep.
From 4 till, say, 8, if they're open till 8, we're gonna have to pay staff members 4 hours to stay on duty to go and lock them.
So through you, Mayor, the bus,
Last bus.
no, mine is not a designated get off the bus place.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It's only town bus, is that right?
Correct.
And school buses.
Town and school, okay.
Well, but through me, school buses, they're down at Liberty, I think, like in the, they're way down there. They're opposite the car wash.
Yeah.
Oh, they might have changed, but I know they used to stop there.
Yeah, they
So they're down opposite the car wash, yeah.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm just wondering about some of our public holidays like Anzac Day, where we've got a large contingent of community down that end of town. I think we probably do need some toilets open on those sorts of occasions.
Given that we've got staff on for that Anzac series.
Specifically for Anzac Day, I can request that the toilets are open.
One
Yeah.
bracket.
I think moving forward, like we probably should look at just automatic.
Yeah. But like
so-
just for
Yes.
now, like that would
Yeah.
be great.
Yeah, no, I can make sure they're open on it.
Okay, great, thank you.
To check, Mary.
The other
change
option
last
for
dot
Anzac
point
Day
as
is
was
open
the
the
other
hub.
one, except at the public
This
toilets.
works least.
Centre.
No, I definitely can't do that, but I can
It's gotta
open
go
the,
back to what
aquatics
the last dot point was on the other one, but take
at least for the period that sort of people are around
so-
anyway.
We'll make a bigger font, please, Sal, so we can.
Even it's just
period
finalising.
Yeah.
After
Yeah, that's
They're taking out the barricades, somebody slip over and lock them up again, so we're not paying
Has to be
any
the
extra
same as that,
overtime.
except take out
They'll go back to plug in.
until the construction of whatever it was.
Marches.
That's exactly
Because
right.
they get breakfast and then, there's stuff available for lunch and whatever.
Because fragrance one, yeah, one and two, you know, so I need to go, yeah, into there. Yes. And then you're saying that council proceed. Not proceed with the construction of the toilets after. And then
Of the CBD toilets, maybe.
And then so we might just need to
Oh,
put
right.
those times in where under remains open.
Or is it wrong?
on the just.
Number 4 has to be in that number 3 there,
Yeah,
with the exception of prior to the opening of the Nimiji Street public toilets.
okay.
Are they open 24/7?
Yeah, no, that's-
No, they're locked, automatically locked. Like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I got caught here a few weeks ago.
There's another one down there.
So they just have one on, they're not open.
Sorry, Liz?
I said the ones out at the wetlands. Automatically locked.
Yeah, no, talking about ones down in Dundas Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, because I zipped back from out at CRT one Friday afternoon and pulled up there, and go, oh, I'll try these out. They're all locked up. Thank goodness the aquatic centre ones were open. It's been a bit of bother. It's a long way home.
I think it was just slightly away, it was-
It'll sound very well too.
Sorry.
Seasons are coming very
With the exception of the opening of the public toilets.
Just wait a few months, it'll come back.
Someone did say to me that
Public toilets that are open, remain open for use.
past,
Just open.
what he gets out there.
Make sure the open toilet.
Yeah, All right to go? We're back on. Okay. All right, we're back on recording and live streaming, everybody. If we could just get back on the jobby. So would anybody like this read out so we're clear?
Oh, thanks, John. No, it's all right.
Okay, well, just for the benefit of the people that are listening, I think we should read it out, if that's all right. One, that council undertake discussions with the centre owning regarding the potential to lease the centre toilets. I think we should name which centre it is, probably, the Kira's Shopping Centre. Maybe we should give it a name there. Do you think, Mover?
Oh, yeah, I don't care. I mean,
I think you should add to Kira Shopping Square, so
Second that.
we know what we're talking about.
I'm not going there. I'm going to get in trouble for it.
Happy with that, Dave?
Yeah.
Councillor Davies, okay, we'll start again. That the council undertake discussions with the Kira Shopping Square Centre owner regarding the potential to lease the centre toilets for a trial period to enable public access. That council will, first of all, organise the cleaning and maintenance in appropriate manner, investigate ways to minimise any graffiti / damage or illegal behaviour, such as through the use of Indigenous art. Point number 2, the council does not proceed with the construction of the toilet on Nimiji Street at this time. And number 3, that for the interim period, the Burraway Street public toilets at the Aquatic Centre operate from 7 a.m. till 4 p.m. daily, excluding public holidays, and remain locked outside of these hours.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I've got an issue with using the use of Aboriginal art.
Okay.
I just don't think it's appropriate. If they want to put Aboriginal art on there or whatever, say be, but I just don't think it should be stated on there.
It's just a suggestion, Councillor Leake, but
we're all thinking the same thing, but I just don't think it should be stated on there.
we'll put it, we'll move it as it is, and do we have a move, Councillor Davies?
but if you want to remove that, I don't care. I mean, the intent's there. Everyone knows what we're talking about.
Just says such as.
Use of art. I think use of art is.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you okay with that, councillor?
Yeah.
Just so there's no offence.
Okay. And just the interim period, what's the interim period about?
Through you, Mayor, until we come back with the outcome of the discussions with the centre.
Full report.
I would like that to still read that the aquatic toilets stay open regardless.
But that's when we come back, we're going to be getting a report from the Director of Infrastructure about how that's going to happen and the cost, etc., which is going to come back with the discussions.
Okay. All righty. Well, we better get formal and we'll have speakers for and against. So would you like to speak to your motion, please, Councillor Davies?
Yeah, look, I think we've seen the what the public think about it. I hate the thought of spending $250,000 on new toilets in town when there are already 10 public toilets in the town, including the existing one in that shopping centre. So if we can come to an agreement with those people, surely that's the best way forward. It's where it's needed, and hopefully it can be managed and maintained in an appropriate manner.
Thank you. Any speakers against the motion? Any other speakers for the motion? Councillor Leake.
I think it's a fantastic idea, but we just can't have the same setup. And one I did mention to Chris about having a privacy screen, because if we just leave exactly the same, it's not going to change. So we have to change the setup of the entrance. And I did mention once at Royal Council, I think all the chairs in those games should be moved, because it's an opportunity for the young folk to sit there, go in and on their phones, and that's where the issue. So I think, Mel, what do you think about having a privacy screen in the front and having those doors open? Because it's very similar setup to other shopping malls.
I said, so through you, Mayor, I guess that the motion takes that when it says investigate ways to minimise those antisocial behaviour, but pretty much.
Okay, happy with that, Councillor Leake?
Thanks, Mel.
Okay, any other speakers against? Well, we didn't have any speakers for. I think it's a fantastic idea. As I was saying earlier, Councillor Smith recently made the trip to Sydney, catching the bus outside the police station, and went on a cruise, and the toilets on those are a bit rocky, but the ones on the bus would be much worse to try and negotiate, I would suggest. The one on the train is certainly very rocky, but I think it's a needed toilet that we have in town, and as Councillor Davies said, save $250,000 if we can lease those ones. People can lease a shop, we could lease a toilet and provide a service to our community. So it's my 2 bobs worth. Would you like to write a reply there, Councillor Davies?
No, it's all right. Thanks.
All right, everybody happy to put the motion? Did no other comments? All right, all those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you, everybody.
Can I just add one other thing, Mr. Mayor? Point of order, it's been moved. Just a thought. we used to have security go through town of a night time.
Mm.
Whether or not they're still doing that,
I do.
they still do,
Yeah.
whether or not they could possibly lock the toilets rather than staff have to stay. But I mean, that'd come back in your report.
Alrighty, thank you. We'll move on to our notices of motion, please. And first one is from Councillor Barr. Would you like to move your notice of motion, please?
Sure. So the Narromine Shire Council, in conjunction with the Narromine Trengi Police, conduct road safety education sessions at all schools in Narromine Shire. This is to focus on the use of electric scooters and e-bikes, including wearing helmets, where they are allowed to ride, or restricted areas and fines associated.
Did you have a second for the notice of motion?
Certainly do.
Councillor Luke Barnose. Discussions on, would you like to speak to your
I'd like
motion?
to speak for it. I think we're all very aware it's a prevalent issue in Narromine. I think we can't change legislation, no, but we can educate the kids about what they can and can't do, where they can and can't ride, what fines are associated with it. They can also give handouts to the parents to know that they're the ones that need to pay the fines. The Narromine Police are very happy. They already have a program that they can roll out to the council, but to the students, but having it in conjunction with the council means that we can specifically say within our district exactly where they can and can't ride, e.g. footpaths or side of the road, etc. I think we've got to educate them about the problem before we just hit them with fines, etc.
Yeah. Fair comment. Thank you, Councillor Barr. Any speakers against this notice of motion?
Just a question, if I can. In suggesting that in conjunction with the Narromine Police, it's suggesting to me that there is an agreement with the police now, or an understanding with the police that can happen.
Yeah,
I mean-
so I've spoken to the Narromine Police when I was relieving there, because there was a lady that was hit and quite badly.
Got it.
And they are more than happy. The youth liaison is happy to roll it out in the schools. There's no time period on it. Obviously, we have a lot of schools. We would start with schools like the high school, the public school first, because they're bigger audience. But they're more than happy to work with us. But I think council's part of it is specifically, say, for in Narromine, where if they're going from the wetlands to Coles, where can they ride them? Is it on the footpath? Is it on the side of the road? Is it when and where? Because if they know that and then they're still doing it wrong, well, that's more for them. But we've got to actually teach them first.
Exactly. Any other speakers for the motion? Nobody against? Do you like your right reply, Councillor Barr? Okay, we shall put the notice of motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Second notice of motion is pedestrian crossing.
Sure. That Narromine Shire Council investigate the construction of a pedestrian crossing from the corner of Marilba and Cathedral Streets, all that area, that is ensuring the safety of residents and visitors to the hospital and aged care facility.
Do we have a seconder for that motion?
I'll do that, Mr Mayor.
Would you like to speak to your motion, please?
So currently we have no pedestrian crossing across there. There is, what do you call it? Who knows?
Islands,
It's
pedestrian
an island is there, but there's actually no pedestrian crossing for them to get from one side to the other, and especially the elderly from Timbabongi and the actual hospital residents. There's no safe way to get across that quite busy road. The infrastructure's there. We just need the pedestrian crossing. And I think for the safety of even one of the nurses leaving the hospital who parked across the street had a near miss again the other day. I think it's important that we have access to the rest of the town through that.
Very good. Any speakers against?
Just out of interest sake, what's a pedestrian crossing cost? Sorry.
Well, I think the investigation would be good because there are sort of different styles. I mean, we could go and literally just do like a zigzag mark, like, you know, on the road, but that might not be sufficient. So a zigzag mark, basically nothing. But if you're wanting like a raised hump kind of thing, then that would be
for you
a bit more. So I think it probably is better that I come back with a report kind of recommending what I think will best fit there, and then a cost.
Happy for you to, that's why I just asked for a report.
That
You do.
includes signs and.
Yes. Yes.
And then the other thing is the bus stop is on the opposite side to the hospital.
And just to be clear, if there's not that section and it needs to be just that area.
Precinct.
That precinct.
Yeah.
Any other speakers for Against? Would you like to write a reply, councillor Baum? No. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. We have some notice of motion from councillor Smith. If you'd like to read them out, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. My motion is that Narromine Shire Council prepare a submission for the parliamentary inquiry into the energy from waste facility proposal for parks. The submission should cite concerns over impacts on our LGA, including, but not limited to, human health, the environment, including waterways, and agricultural impacts. Although the formal closing date for submissions may have passed, the inquiry will still accept submissions.
Thank you. Seconder for the notice of motion, councillor Lee. Would you like to speak to your motion, please?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've brought this motion forward simply because I feel that it's very important that our Shire has a voice in this very important discussion that's going to affect the entire Central West area for generations to come because of contamination risks. Other councils have already put in submissions. We're a neighbour, and I think it behooves us to do the same, as this will impact our residents, and this should be noted to the parliamentary inquiry that there will be far-reaching consequences for other areas, not just the immediate vicinity of parks.
Thank you. Can I just ask the gallery to just stop the chatting, please? The mics are very sensitive. Thank you, councillor Smith. Any speakers against?
I'll speak against it, Mr Mayor, because I don't think it's going to impact on us that much. And the fact that most councils around us already knew that we decided not to go down that path. And I actually think, from what I read in media and so forth, Parks is likely to say no as well.
You already have. Yep. Thank you. Speakers for? Councillor Lee?
I think there's enough concern with energy from waste. They're illegal other than 4 precincts in New South Wales. If there's that much concern they don't want in the city area, we should stand up and support parks and say we have major concerns as well. With the parks, council voted not to have it there, but it's gone past the parks, so they have an inquiry now, so there's still very much needed whether it's going to go through or not. And we are joining the Park Shire, and as everyone knows, water, air does circulate around.
Thank you. Speakers against? Councillor Davies.
Yeah, look, I note that the time frame for formal submissions is closed on the 31st of October. I acknowledge the fact that they will continue to look at further submissions, but I just don't believe it's our role to be suggesting to other councils what they do. We have no idea if or what the repercussions of a waste to energy project might be. None whatsoever. There's no one in this Shire who's got any knowledge or understanding of what the technology is or what might be the outcome. So in terms of trying to ascertain what the damage might be, it is all assumptions. Apart from that, we would need to go out and find someone to do this work because it's beyond the realms of our staff and it just becomes another cost to us. I just think it's unnecessary. Let them work out what they want to do.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Any other speakers for the motion? Any other speakers against? Would you like to write a reply?
I would love
and
that.
just before you go, please, gallery, can you stop talking? We'll have to ask you to leave, okay? Go ahead, Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Okay, I'd just like to start by pointing out that at this point in time, Park Shire Council has voted to not support any such proposal going ahead. They've accepted that there are risks, that the community is not happy, and overwhelmingly so, and they are against the proposal. It is now state significant, and so it is very important that every voice is raised that possibly can be raised. I attended the public forum yesterday in Parks. It was extremely well attended. It had full complement of speakers. You had to nominate to speak in advance. And the overwhelming majority of residents who spoke were 110% against it. They were very passionate, very well informed, and that was certainly heard by not only the audience, but the committee that was present. Preparing a report doesn't have to be a big expense. We can cite concerns without employing an external person. Okay, we're not saying that it's going to have this level of contamination. We can just express concerns about the possibility of contaminations, the possibility of where that very toxic fly ash is going to eventually land, because they're going to need to store it somewhere, and it has an extremely high concentration of toxic forever chemicals, which we certainly wouldn't want to have forced on us in our LGA, with the risk of things such as leaching over time into our aquifers and into our agricultural areas, never mind the effects that it could well have on human health, especially the elderly and the young. And I thought that some people here would have had quite a bit of incinerator knowledge or experience from our own experience in 2023-24. So I think we do have a level of knowledge and experience inside this room. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. We shall now put the notice of motion. All those in favour, raise their hands. 4. Against? 4. That leaves me to the casting vote, doesn't it? My casting vote's in favour. Thank you. So the motion is carried. Thanking you. So the questions with notice have all been covered. So I've been addressed. We'll move on to item 12, business with notice, urgent matters. I believe there's maybe one of those.
Yeah, I would like to. Is that the right time to do it?
Correct.
Yeah,
Now's the time.
Let's go. Go time. Let's go time. What have we got? I would like to raise an urgent matter. I'll give Sal the paper. Should have emailed it to you.
Isn't that what before?
Should have.
Why don't you just share this? Pages here.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Just going to read it out kind of thing. No,
Yeah, I'll read it out to you if you guys want.
Share.
Oh, it's all right, I'll come over, Liz.
You guys don't need it. Just vote yes.
We'll just listen to you first, shall we?
I move that this is to do with the fuel and the supply shocks that I think we're going to.
Please, quiet down the back last time. We better. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, this is in relation to the fuel and the supplies that I think we're going to experience over the next few months. And I'd like to leave it up to the group if they think it's necessary for this or not, but this is what I would like to achieve. I move that the General Manager implements a monthly reporting structure titled the Narromine Readiness Report, delivered directly to the councillors via email and to the public when councillors decide via a vote.
Oh, so through you, Mayor, sorry, we need to resolve it as urgent business.
Yes,
Ah,
done.
Sorry,
Move it.
Councillor
Done.
Bowen, Councillor Roberts, all those in favour?
Aye.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Councillor Roberts.
This report will monitor and forecast the following fronts over the 3 months in advance over the next 12 months, using a 1 for no risk and a 5 for critical tracking guide for a clear communication. The 1 is drought that we're looking at facing and water restrictions that the town could be facing, and 2 is potential recession and to keep track of community sentiment, and 3 supply shortages and increasing in costs, and that's to do with everything from health services to ag and trades and groceries. I further move that the General Manager defines measurable metrics within this report that will act as triggers for action, specifically consultation trigger. Define the metrics, a level 3 for supply or drought ratings that will automatically trigger a community forum to inform the public. An action trigger. Define the metric. Examples, a level 4 or 5 rating that will trigger a mandatory council budget review to discuss the reallocation of funds from non-essential expenses into the Community Resilience Fund. Research into what practical steps council can take depending on the matters arising.
We have a second for Councillor Roberts. Thank you. Councillor Bowen, would you like to speak to your motion?
I think what we know is that there's definitely a shortage of fuel coming. There's definitely a shortage of supplies. We know that there's going to be a 30% rise for homes and businesses in costs. Businesses will struggle. At the moment, we're struggling with drought. If that continues, that's also going to put pressure on our community. I think there's nothing to do right now. There's nothing that council can do right now. But I think if we're looking ahead, not looking and hoping for the worst, but if we can see that it's going to get bad, maybe we can work together to implement something or to inform people of what they need to be ready for. And let's hope it doesn't get that bad.
So can I just make a comment? I think what you're suggesting is good. Bit left field. Haven't heard that one before, but I guess my suggestion would be, because there's a lot in that recommendation, my suggestion would be that the motion is that we as a council have a workshop to workshop those things so we can actually identify, because I don't know that I can develop a set of metrics. I need input from all you guys on, people who are experts in ag and retail or whatever. I think it's important that we workshop and then come back with a set of metrics for the community.
So do we put a point 4 in there, GM, to say that the council, senior staff and the councillors do a
Just amend it.
Well, I guess my view is that there's a lot in that, and I think my view is that the motion should be that council, we have a workshop to discuss it, because there are elements of that we have a drought. We're working on a drought resilience plan at the moment. There's a lot of work that's already gone on behind the scenes. We don't want to reinvent that. So, and
I think the main for this, just to simplify it, is it's a monthly email just to keep us all thinking about it. And then if something does spark our interest, we can communicate via email as well. We can do I'm more than happy to do a workshop if you would like.
I think the workshop idea is good.
But for me, it's like if we start doing this now, we're ahead of the game. But I think there's there could be ramifications coming that we need to be ready for. So we're early. We're early.
I agree, but I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure that we, or even all of us, have the expertise to do what you're suggesting, because it covers a lot of stuff. And it may well be we'll have a workshop and say, actually, we don't know much about this area over here. Let's get someone in that, a subject matter expert in that area. Like, it might be an economist, for example. I mean, some of the things you're talking about are, economic. The economics of our Shire, how's that going to change with all of this?
It doesn't have to. It could be as simple as are our shops and are our local shops and businesses in town struggling to get supplies? Are they really seeing that the costs of things are deterring their customers on a local ground roots view of, like, we don't need to know, if they're not going to be able to get their coffee cups, they can tell us.
But that would require some sort of survey or something detailed, because we wouldn't know that. We'd have to go out and.
Okay, how about we move along, and are you happy to move that we have a workshop, discuss all that?
I'm happy to workshop.
Happy with that?
With that, so I've been working with Claire Quigley, who's doing the drought resilience program, and we did with council. Can we do this? I think it's 30th of
the 30th
April?
of May. There's 30th of April, rather. So yes.
Are you happy to do that after the drought resilience, which all councillors are invited to? It was only come out today. So that we can use what they've put together from all the different communities, and then bring that part into this. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that's fine. No, I think this is just about thinking about it, because you talk to a lot of people, they're like, I don't want to watch the news, And you talk to other people, I got things booked out for 6 months, so it's not a problem. But 6 months could be where we start to struggle,
I guess, my other concern is that we don't want to become the experts in this field because we're not, council is
No.
not,
No, but
we're
this
not
is,
the people that these people need to look to. There's
well,
other
that's why it's like,
support
I think
mechanisms.
it's an email just between us. If something's worth mentioning to the community, then we can come out with something. But it's mainly just to keep all of us thinking about there could be some real struggles coming on the drought, on prices of things, on fuel shortages. To me, that's quite unique.
Are you happy to sort of not shelve that, but say we hold a workshop regarding your motion?
Yeah, no, if you want to scrap the whole thing and say, let's do a workshop on,
No, we still want to like keep this, but just do a workshop regarding your
All
idea.
the issues.
Yeah.
For the 30th of
Or you
April.
just don't have a motion and we just have a workshop.
you've got
Yeah,
full,
yeah.
you've got full capacity.
Just have a workshop.
Clever
We'll just have
people
a
up here.
workshop. We're good with
Okay.
that.
Just,
Yep.
In May.
we've faced most of these issues previously.
Yes.
Correct.
There are many examples of, droughts and all these sorts of things. What the thing that we haven't faced before is this fuel issue. It is completely unpredictable. The only thing I can think of is that if a particular scenario arises that is going to be detrimental to the community or the council or to us all, then possibly that's the time that Jane steps in and says, look, this is happening, we need to be aware of it. But trying to put all this together, fair income, you don't need an economist, you need a genius.
No, I'd simplify it. You got to it's not. I'm not trying to come at it from a big, bringing in all the data. I'm like as simple as Mel's got a report saying we've got consistent boatloads coming to fuel. That's something that we can be looped into.
Do you guys know that?
Well, I guess through your mayor again, that's a risk that we would identify through a budget. We're going to have a quarterly budget review next month. We would see if there's going to have to be a decline in our works. I guess we're also very conscious of not being doom and gloom. Like I understand there's a lot of
Does that not come from the
negative
state
sentiment at the
government?
moment, but we don't really want to lead that
And
as a
the minister
council.
announces how many days worth of fuel that we have coming in.
Go again, Councillor Howie, because I don't think the recording's going to get to it once. So can you start again? Sorry, Councillor Howie.
I'm just saying that with regards to notifying how much fuel's on hand, that comes from the state government level, and the Minister for Transport gives that on a quite a regular basis.
It's an app.
Yeah, there's an app.
Okay.
Can staff put a program together so that we can have a workshop and work out the best way to approach this, because it can get so complicated that no one's going to understand it.
Yeah, but
We just need fairly basic metrics to.
yes, and that's what I'm saying. It's just an internal email, and that just slightly outlines how bad do we think the drought is in the next 3 months? How bad do we think what's the community sentiment? And then we at least can have some sort of idea of, are we going to prepare for the worst in the community and be ready for it, or are we just going to wait for the fuel to run out and then we're going to put people off work because we got no fuel?
Can I ask that? Just
Better off being ahead of
very
the game.
specific. Has it come from another or another business or another council that's done it, or
No.
it's just?
No, that's just
Lockie's brain.
That's just Lockie's
Been
brain.
pre-warned.
Yeah.
Through you, Mr Mayor, this might be relevant. It's just an article over to see that South Australian councils may have to hike rates above inflation this year as they grapple with the cost blowouts, spending cuts and projects delays caused by the fuel crisis. One council is warning that the cost of some of the infrastructure projects could blow up by 50%, while others say it will face difficult financial trade-offs if this crisis prolongs. So it's being ahead of the game. And as a council, we have to keep our costs under control.
It's through your mayor, and a lot of that is about managing this stuff. Like
They do all the time.
we do it all the time. We do quarterly budget reviews. We don't ask for more money. We move money around. We try and identify savings. If we can't, then we are under rate pegging in New South Wales, which is a very different situation to some of these other states. We don't want to go there. We want to contain our costs as much as we possibly can.
So you're confident that you're already in front of the game when it comes to these three. Of like you're managing.
I don't know when it's
You're
going to
managing your fuel shortages. You're managing your fuel shortage as best you can. You're going to manage your high costs as best you can. We'll just find out in the report when it comes. Oh, we've decided we've run out of money for the road, so we're going to just do 1 kilometre instead of 2.
Correct.
And we'll find out when that happens. And I'm sort of saying, can we find out a little bit earlier?
Well,
Just
through you, Mayor, we
I
can't
understand.
spend money we don't have, so it obviously has to come to council.
So, and that's like
Do
Mel,
a quarterly budget review.
You wanted to move from A to B,
Correct.
and we did that.
I think I'd like to leave it as it is, in a way of I'm not going to control how in depth you think you should go or how shallow you'll go. I think a workshop could complicate this, and I'm probably already seeing that a workshop's going to make it bigger than what I'm thinking it should be. So I don't, and that's not what I intend. And so I'll leave it at that, maybe. And if it makes it through, it makes it through. And if it doesn't,
Okay, so when
move
legal
on.
motion is okay. I think
Yeah,
we've
I
had enough
think so,
discussion
yeah.
on it pretty much. I would suggest. Okay, so we'll put the motion as, I'm not going to read all that out, as we've had a hard copy of. Okay, I think we've all had enough to say on this one. All those in favour? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. We've got Councillor Roberts, Councillor Leake, Councillor Lambert against. There's Councillor Davies, Councillor Hoey, Councillor Baum, Councillor Smith and myself. Your motion is lost.
I'm happy to put a motion forward that we have a workshop.
We don't need a motion. Let us think about
I just think
the
that's
risks and
very
come back.
specific and complicated
I
and
think
make
we
it
can cover
very
this.
hard for you to put your own spin on it, being that it's so specific.
Yeah.
Is my only thing against it.
Definitely. Yep, I agree.
Not lost forever.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
why we'll come back.
not my way.
So we're
though.
moving on to the confidential stuff. So would somebody like to move us into closed?
Can we just have 2
Yes, most
minutes?
certainly. Let's have
Yeah,
a,
let that, yeah.
So can we move into close and turn the tape off?
yes, we'll move into close and turn the tape off. So welcome back, everybody. Out of the closed session of our meeting this evening, the recommendation was moved to a motion and it read that council awards the contract to Concept Solutions Private Limited for the civil infrastructure works, Craigie Lee Industrial Estate Development in the amount of $5,856,416.43, excluding GST. The vote was put. Those that voted for the motion were Councillor Davies, Councillor Hoey, Councillor Roberts, Councillor Leake, Councillor Lambert and myself as Mayor, Councillor Jones. Against were Councillor Smith and Councillor Baum. The recommendation or motion was carried. Thank you. That concludes the meeting. Thank you, everybody, for your attendance and hope you enjoyed it online. Thank you.